1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. My voice sounds a little hoarse there. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. How you guys doing? It's episode 94, ladies and gentlemen. We getting up there. Episode 94. Calling this bad boy, Mac Daddy Make You. Mac Daddy make you jump. A Daddy Mac will make you jump. Crisscross will make you jump. A Daddy Mac will make you jump. This episode is called Mac Daddy Make You. Cause I'm old. I'm in my 30s. When I was a child, I wanted to be like Crisscross, the kids I saw rapping on TV. You know what I'm saying? It's episode 94, Mac Daddy Made You. As I said, I interrupted myself with the episode title, but how are you guys doing? How's your week been? I hope everything's been fucking phenomenal. That's how I hope everything has been for everyone listening, everyone that's not listening. I hope you're having a great week. The fucking best week ever is what I'm hoping for you guys. I hope my favorite boxers are going to have the best week ever. Floyd's boxing today. I'm going to react to it here on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to get my live reaction to Floyd Mayweather, but that comes later. Well, I mean, it's going to be live when I'm recording it here. It's 5:40 right now. So I better get to talking, honestly. No, I'm in no rush to talk. Because I think the pay-per-view starts at 7 o'clock. And apparently, like, Ocho Cinco, Chad Johnson, is boxing in the first fight. In, like, a 4-round boxing match. That's random. But so, then I'm just going to, I'm recording now. And because that's probably not going to be on until much later, I record on Sunday, I'm just going to try to react to that to on here. Why not? You know, why not? That can only be great content or terrible content. It'll lead to me staying up all night editing. But why not? We're here. We're dedicated. This is the Babylon 5 Podcast. I'm your boy, Jermaine Event. I'm going to give you guys social media. If you want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal account at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5Podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcasts stream. If you guys are on Xbox, go ahead and add me at SauceBoss414. You can add me on Twitch at Babylon5Pod, or I'm wrong. Don't listen to me on that one. You can follow me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. But you guys can join my Discord. You can find me on Discord at Babylon5Pod. Yeah, it's just all over the place. This is why, rest in peace, Gary Turner. My old music manager, Gary Turner. It's hot as the dickens in here, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting days of 90-degree weather here in Wisconsin. And it's hot as the fucking dickens. And yesterday I had a scare, okay? I'm going to be real with you niggas, okay? I told it to my wife. And it's a pretty dramatic situation. So I'm chilling. Just chilling right here in the stew. A.k.a. the man cave. And a big-ass fly, nigga. A big-ass fly comes through, flies by my head. I had the window open. The screen was closed, but the motherfucker, it's a little bit of gap on the side there. And a motherfucker big-ass fly got in, nigga. Too big to be in. Honestly, no flies. This is a no-fly zone. So, a fly came in the house. So, it's like I chose fucking death. So, I went at it. Went and got a cloth, something that I felt. And, I needed it to be at the right length. Not too long where I don't have control over where it's going to strike and I could break some shit. But long enough where I can whip it and get enough like of a torque and really fuck that thing up. You know what I'm saying? Just the perfect length cloth to hunt this fucking fly that decided to disturb me on a Saturday. And I swung at it once and knocked a bunch of shit over nonetheless. And then I couldn't see it. So then I went and grabbed my phone to have the flashlight to try to find it. And I moved all this furniture over because I was like, did I hit it? I'm thinking like maybe it's like twitching on the ground or some shit. And I moved all this shit over and it's not there. Like, what the fuck? Where did it go? Like, did I hit it? What's going on? And I feel like I can hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I can hear it. So I'm like, well, it's a big-ass fly. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I hear it. And I, like, stand up, and I turn, and I see it just, like, on the blinds right by the window where it would have came in. And through previous experience and how I just had that little situation here in the corner where I knocked everything over, I'm like, well, I'm not going to swing on the fucking shades here. That's how these bastards get you to ruin your whole fucking apartment. So, your whole fucking home. I just swung air at the fly to get it to move. Just, I needed it in the air. I couldn't swing at it while it was on the blinds. And it moved off the blinds and then flew into the outer side. And I just closed the window on it. But then that gave me an instinct like, now I gotta look up because there's a fucking fly that just came in here. And if there's a fucking fly that just came in here, that tells me there could be like a spider or some shit in here. That's what my mind was thinking. And I go into the next little room over here, and there's just a centipede that was just too big to be in the house. It was just too big to be in the house, so I had to take care of that bad boy. And it's just hot, nigga. It's too hot for all that. So right now, what I'm saying is I got the window closed. And I'm fucking hot. But we giving it to you live. We giving it to you here on the Babylon 5 podcast. But no, I gotta get that whole Babylon 5 pod. I gotta get all that shit together. Everything's gotta be Babylon 5 pod or some shit, or just Babylon 5. I gotta figure that out. Go buy some merchandise. Go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. Go ahead and be my patrons. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod to just support the podcast in general. If you guys are on TikTok, go ahead and add a brother at Babylon 5 Podcast on TikTok. Babylon 5 Podcast. I wasn't going to talk about this. But I was like, nigga, you've been talking about it, so talk about it. Don't just talk about it and not be about it, my nigga. But, I was like, I was going to buy the computer. I was going to buy a new computer. Then I bought a new computer, and I was like, that shit's too old. Sent it back. Then I was like, I'm going to buy another new computer. And before I got it, I don't know if I mentioned this part to y'all, I did some more research into it, and I canceled the order because it was going to be too old for what I wanted. Now, the cheaper models of Macs that are out are the newer models of Macs. They have this new processor called the M1, and I shied away from that as opposed to the more expensive Intel processor, the one that most used, because for the most part, well, when I got that much older Mac Mini and I noticed that I wouldn't be able to use a bunch of the plugins, I just Googled if the shit that I'm using here, just one by one was just Googling the shit that I mainly use, if it works with this new processor. And a lot of it doesn't yet. Which had me saying, like, well, then I'm definitely not going to get an M1 because I'm not going to sit around and wait for the time that I can use my fucking apps, my fucking plugins. I'm not going to wait for that time. But why not? Pretty soon, everything is switching over. Everything is going to be pretty much acclimated to the M1, to the new Apple fucking processor, everything with the processor. So, it's not going to be hard for me at this point in my usage with Studio One to do without those plugins for the time. That won't be an issue for me to do without those plugins. I have enough know-how at this point in the game where I don't need those plugins. It's not an end-all, be-all with just those plugins. But then I was looking into just like comparisons of the M1 to the Intel, if we're looking at Mac Minis, but just like this processor in general. The Intel processor, the most expensive, is a 64 gigabytes of RAM. The i7, the Intel 7 Intel processor, Mac Mini versus the fucking $700 Mac 8 gigabytes of RAM Mac Mini. 8 gigabytes of RAM Mac Mini. Or maybe they did the 16 gigabyte for the test. But either way, there was just a huge difference in, like, it was obvious, like, if you're just looking at cost and just what it says on there, the specs. If you're just looking at that, you're like, well, clearly the Intel is the much more efficient machine, but that's just not the case. The fucking, with less RAM, the fucking M1 just fucking shits all over that Intel processor. Shits all over that Intel processor. And the thing that sold me on it, ladies and gentlemen, Mac Daddy make you jump. The thing that sold me on it, ladies and gentlemen, was that they pointed out that, my biggest issue with this fucking MacBook here, I mean, it's just not equipped for what I'm doing with Macs, but my biggest issue is it gets fucking loud. This has that Intel processor. I think it's the Intel 5. It has the Intel processor. And it gets so fucking loud to the point where I'm recording now. And as I'm recording, I had to move everything off. Right as I set everything up. And then right as I'm about to record, I moved the laptop off to the side behind, like, my screen and everything, just to try to fucking drown out that noise from that laptop as much as possible. And they showed that, like, with the Intel, that it's just, the fan just comes on super loud. It just gets louder and louder, super hot. But meanwhile, with the new M1 processor, it's just silent the whole time. And it's just super fast. It stays cool. All those things were like, fuck, I want it. Because I'm the type of nigga that I always think a worst case scenario, So in my mind, as this laptop is getting hotter and hotter and screaming and steaming at me, I feel like it's going to explode. And I'm just like, I need a new computer. Because in my mind, worst case, it's fucking Murphy's Law. Like, Was anything bad that could happen will happen? Or just like some shit like that? Let's look it up. Because I just threw it out there like a dumbass. But I'm pretty sure I used it appropriately. Murphy's Law is an adage or... I don't know that word of epigram that is typically stated as anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's what I'm saying. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong with this bitch-ass laptop over here. So, in my head, if that's something that could go wrong, like exploding in my face, then it will go wrong with that MacBook. That's my mindset. So when you tell me you can give me a computer that's like 1,000 times faster, quieter, and cheaper, you fucking sold me on that. So I don't have the new computer yet. Because I was like real hesitant on what I should do. Nothing is available with what I'm getting. The computer that I'm purchasing isn't available for pickup in the store. You have to like wait. You only get like the 8 gigabyte RAM, like 256 gigabyte stock computer. That's pretty much all you can find if you're looking for a Mac Mini. That's the only model you're going to be able to find. M1 Mac Mini. You're only going to be able to find like the lower grade of it all. And it's like, yeah, if you feel like you want a computer and you're not doing a lot of fucking demanding shit like video editing, music production, the shit that I'm doing, I feel like this thing just gets so hot, you know. Yeah, it just gets so hot. I'm just not a fan of these fucking Intel processors. How loud they get. They put a like external like graphics card or whatever on like 64 gigabyte of RAM Mac Mini, and it still was like either tying the M1 Mac Mini or still losing to the M1 Mac Mini. So that shit's powerful. And pretty soon all their shit is gonna run on that shit. So like that's the upgrade. Hopefully, I mean, I haven't used it. For all I know, I'll talk to you guys next week and be like, yeah, that shit was trash. I'll be on here like, that shit was trash. We'll see. But I was thinking, like, I don't really fuck with this Mac, the MacBook Pro. It's like, at the end of the day, it's been giving me problems for years. I think I've just been tied to the aesthetics of it all, if anything. More so tied to the aesthetics. But hopefully, the M1 Mac Mini is what I'm looking for. So the Bucks played the Nets. Game 1, second round. I said last year, man, that's going to be the year that we have to win. We have to win. At least in the East. We have to take the East last year because there was no Kevin Durant. We knew there was going to be no Kevin Durant. Then we heard, fuck, Kyrie's not going to the bubble. So it was like, fuck, this is the year. We ain't going to be able to do it with fucking Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving out there. I didn't think we could do it. I said last week this nigga Bryn Forbes was impressing me. This nigga's was choking early. I'm watching. This is like one of the early scenes of 8 Mile, my nigga. He's choking. He's choking. Nigga. I'm watching the game like, fuck. We're gonna lose. At one point, we were even up. And I'm watching us play, and I'm like, fuck. we're going to lose. Niggas is just airballing wide open shots. Niggas was super nervous. Only person that seemed like they really came to play early on was PJ Tucker. He was balling. Bryn Forbes choking early. Harden left the game in the first minute with a hamstring injury and was ruled out for the game. By halftime. He was ruled out for the rest of the game. So they played with basically no James Harden. Blake Griffin looks like fucking prime Blake Griffin. Prime Blake Griffin. Nigga finished with 18 points, 14 boards. You have fucking bitch-ass Travis Scott jumping up and dancing for Kyrie Irving. Like a fucking groupie, like a little-ass girl. If you can't tell by my frustration here, the Bucks lost to the Brooklyn Nets yesterday. My wife was out, and she came home, and I think we were only down by 2 points, and she was like, "Oh, it looks like the Bucks are doing good," and I was like, "Nah, it doesn't." On paper, I was like, I'm looking at the score, how are we only down by 2? This team is playing terribly. I couldn't understand how we were somehow only down by 2. I thought we were playing pretty bad. But if you just look at the score, then it's damn. It seemed like it was a pretty close game. The final score was 107 to 115. That's not that bad. That's an 8-point game. That's not that bad. But if you watch the game, you kind of think the Bucks didn't really have a chance in there. By the end of the first quarter, it was pretty much over. Kyrie started going off. Durant started scoring. Drew Holiday, 17 points, 9 boards, 6 assists. Those are good numbers. 7 for 19, 2 for 7 on 3 points. I don't know about that. My boy Cash, Chris Middleton, 13 points, 13 boards, 6 for 23. Nigga, goddamn. 0 for 5 on 3, nigga. Goddamn. I don't like that. I don't want that, no. Damn, Giannis hit 2 threes. Yeah, Giannis hitting more threes than Middleton. That's what'll cost you the game. That's what'll cost you the game. Jesus. Cheese and crackers. This nigga Bryn Forbes finished with 5 points. Gave that nigga hype. 1 for 5 for 3-point from the 3-point line. Nigga. This nigga Pat Connaughton. Oh, he only had 1 turnover? I'm looking how many turnovers this nigga have? Because the 1 turnover I saw, he threw a pass from one side of the court to the fucking stands of the other side of the court. I'm like, nigga, who the fuck were you passing to? In the fucking bleachers, nigga. We're playing a fucking game, my nigga. You throwing a ball to the fans? You work for the crew? You trying to get the crowd hype? Throwing a basketball to the fans, my nigga? It was rough for me watching it. Because I'm watching Jeff Teague just get worked by Kyrie Irving. Jeff Teague just getting worked. I forgot that nigga was on the team. I think they signed him at the end of the season. Ugh. When I'm watching Jeff Teague try to defend Kyrie Irving, yucky. I don't want to see it. When I'm watching pretty much anybody other than PJ Tucker try to defend Kevin Durant, I don't want to see it. It's an automatic bucket. You know what's crazy? Giannis is a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. Why is the defensive player of the year not going one-on-one against that dude every time? He should be able to shut that guy down or do something. 2-time MVP and defensive player of the year? And you can't really do anything to disrupt Kevin Durant? That nigga finished with 29 points and 10 boards, 3 assists. Guess he was 12 for 25, which ain't the best. Kyrie had 25 points, 5 boards, 8 assists, you know what I'm saying? As I said, Blake Griffin went off, 18 points, 14 boards, 7 for 13, my nigga. 4 for 9 on the outside. Joe Harris, 19 points. 7 for 11, my nigga. He open all day, my nigga. Oh, my God. Who is this James nigga? I don't even know who this nigga is. I know I said that last week with Forbes. It's this nigga named, point guard named James. The nigga hating Dolphin. It's a nigga named James that was, I was like, who is this nigga? Who is this nigga? He just looked like, I don't know, he only had 12 points, 11 boards. I'm sitting over here like, he had 2 threes. I'm like, who the fuck is this? I just needed my team to make some stops. And they weren't. They looked like they couldn't. And I don't know if they can. So, hopefully I flip-flop. I was hating on niggas, you know what I'm talking about, how I watch ESPN and it's like, yo, before the series starts, they'll be like, oh, this team is going to win. This team is going to win. And then as soon as, like, that team loses game 1, everybody will flip-flop. And nobody will say anything about it. Like, bro, you just said you were going with this team to win the series. And they lose game 1 and, like, you're like, no, they're done. I picked this team now. And it's like, no. If you said this team in 5 games or this team in 6 games, you can't flip-flop after they lose one. You already gave them credit for losing that game. And maybe one more. You already gave them that loss. You can't be flip-flopping like that. It's so weird to me. Niggas ain't got no integrity. I'm here to tell you niggas today, I admit when I'm wrong. I'll admit when I was wrong. Shit, I was wrong about Jairzinho Rosenstrike. I'm trying to see, like, I see niggas talking about, I'm trying to see when this Floyd Mayweather shit start. Yeah, no, it ain't start yet. It's 6:08 right now. I'm like, did I miss it? Did it happen? But nah, man, so we lost that game. They balled on us. Harden wasn't even there, man. I don't think it's going to get much better for us if he's in there. I don't think it's going to get much better for us with the way fucking Blake Griffin's playing. If he plays like that all series, the next 3 games is all they're going to need if they playing like that with James Harden. Man, it ain't going to look too good. It ain't looking too good for us, but I hope we take it. Hope we fucking grow up here. If not, fire this nigga Bud. Fire Coach Bud. Do whatever we got to do. Going to the studio this week. I got some shit coming. I ain't put no date on it. There's not going to be a date on it until it's ready to go. Like, I'm not going to tell you guys a date and then start rushing to get things done by that date. That's what I did, like, with the Grump. That's pretty much what I've done with every project. I feel like that's what a lot of artists do. They put those dates out there. And then they're like, fuck, I got to get to this timeline. And then they usually don't meet those timelines. And if they do, then it's like some of the efforts are half-assed, you know? And so I'm going to the studio this week. And I'm going to record some shit. And when it's ready to go, You niggas is gonna get it. But this music, man, I fucks with this music. Like the demos I was saying, like I recorded, I was just gonna record like 3 songs, but like just over this time, I like wrote another song that I'm like, yo, that's fire. I gotta go ahead and record that too, because that's fire. I've produced it all, you know. I'm real hyped for this. Project done by myself, just gonna go record with my boy Andrew at Silver City Studios. And I think I'm gonna have like Mystery Room master the project. And we're gonna fucking give it to the people, man. The proper way, with some videos, fucking marketing dollars, my nigga. We're gonna give it to the people. We're gonna give it to the people. What did that nigga say? I am a revolutionary. I'm talking about I thought niggas' voice was weird in that movie, in that Black Panther movie. That Daniel Kaluuya guy, I thought his accent was weird, as I said. Anywho, I'm moving on. But yeah, we're gonna do the whole things, give it to the people. I don't necessarily have a title for the project right now. I was thinking like possibly naming it after one of the songs on the project, but I'm not sure yet. Because I like all these songs, and like whenever I listen to the other song, I'm like, oh, I should call it this. So like I like all these songs, so I don't know what to call it at this point. I did have some ideas for what I wanted my project that was supposed to come out at the end of last year to be called, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's almost a good-ass job situation, if you guys feel me on that. It's almost a good-ass job situation. You niggas are like, some of you niggas might be like, what's the good-ass job situation? The good-ass job situation, my nigga. That's the album. That's the Kanye album that never happened. It's the Kanye album that lifelong stans like myself was waiting for. You're like, what good-ass job album? Well, he was saying when he came out, when he was mainstream, that he's college dropout, late registration, graduation, and then after graduation, you get a good-ass job. And that was supposed to be the next album. But then he started just like going in other directions. And he was like, all right, well, please come back to it. But we never got that good-ass job album. So now that project that I was working on is basically the good-ass job album. We're moving on in a different direction. We're moving on in a different direction. Jake Paul will now box best friend of Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, former UFC welterweight champion. And for the love of everything sacred, I need Woodley to fucking dominate. Not even just like win. I need him to dominate this fight. And in the first face-off, it was just honestly one of the most cringe things I've ever seen. Like, I've never been a fan of Woodley's trash talk. Like, if you watched him, like, I was watching him trash talk Kamaru Usman earlier. And he's like, oh, you want to sound so cool. You want to sound like LL Cool J. And it was like, why are you saying LL Cool J like that? Why are you saying it weird like that? I thought you were a hip-hop fan. The way you saying LL Cool J, Like, it was like you've never heard someone say it out loud before. Like, you've never heard a person say the name LL Cool J before. Like, he was like, LL Cool J. Like, that's just one, like, I don't know, it's just so weird. Whenever he trash talks, it's usually pretty cringy to me. Then he started doing all the TMZ shit. And I was like, bro, you should stop being on your TMZ shit. And then his raps, I don't know, man. I think certain things you say or I say certain content could tell me a lot more about a person. And yeah, I don't think he should put out music like that. Or not that kind of music, just like, I don't know, just weird, I'll beat your ass music. It's like, fam, the video I saw, it was like when trash talk goes wrong, and it was like they played the song I'll Beat Your Ass that he put out. I think he walked out to, like, his own song, I'll Beat Your Ass, that he walked out to the Kamaru Usman fight with. It was like, you ain't beat nobody's ass since you made that song, which is wild. You ain't beat nobody's ass since you made that song. So, like, when I'm listening to him, and he was doing it when he was talking in the lead up, I think in the lead up to the Vicente Luque fight. He was like, 5 world titles, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, nigga, what are you talking about? You became the champion, and you defended the belt. You don't become the champion again. There's no 5-time champion. You'd be 5-time champion if you're fucking Booker T. If you won the belt, lost the belt, won the belt, lost the belt, won the belt, you know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be multiple reigns. A loss, a reign. You know what I mean? You regained, then you lost it, then you regained it. That's how you get 5 titles, 5 world titles. What are you talking about? Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's talking about, like, he could be talking about, like, wrestling. I think he was like a national champion. Maybe he's talking about like Strikeforce. Maybe he was like Strikeforce champion or some shit. I don't know. I didn't watch like Strikeforce. I didn't know too much about MMA in those days. I was more of a WWE guy at the time. But I hate his fucking trash talk. I hate his trash talk. But the best part of this whole situation is, like, they asked Floyd Mayweather about the Tyron Woodley Jake Paul boxing match. And Floyd Mayweather says that Tyron is coming to train with him. He's going to train Tyron Woodley to box Jake Paul. And I'm like, please fucking do it. Please train with Floyd. And Tyron says he and Floyd are good friends and that he is certainly going to train with Floyd Mayweather in preparation for his fight with Jake Paul. So I think we could end up with a pretty phenomenal looking Tyron Woodley. I mean, he's a pure athlete, you know what I'm saying? Wrestler his whole life, boxing, former UFC champion. He's got all the athleticism you need. I think this is the perfect person that for Floyd to take and really instill some boxing, like some fundamentals, some great defense out there. I think this is probably the perfect person that he could mold in such a short a time to, like, just learn something enough to beat Jake Paul. I think Floyd Mayweather Jr. can do it. If anybody could. You had Paulo Costa pulling out of his fight against Jared Cannonier. He's claiming he never signed the contract. Never signed the contract is what he's saying. And that he said he gets paid less than some of the fighters who aren't even in the top 10 and fight on the prelims. He gets paid less than $350,000 to fight. And he believes that the UFC fighters should be paid as much as, like, boxers, as Jake Paul and Logan Paul are being paid to fight right now. And he's absolutely right. They should be getting paid that kind of money. He's absolutely right, but they're not going to. Because before I could even hear him explain why he's pulling out of the fight, they announced his replacement. Kelvin Gastelum will now fight Jared Cannonier. I already knew that the fight was moving. They moved on, from Paulo Costa before he even explained why he was pulling out of that fight. They had already moved on. And unless Kelvin Gastelum, unless Jared Cannonier, Robert Whittaker, unless everyone in the UFC is just like, we're not fighting unless we get better pay. We see what boxers are making. We see what Deontay Wilder's making. I don't think Deontay Wilder is much as a household name as like John Jones. I don't think he is. I don't think the boxers are as popular as the UFC fighters right now. And I feel like UFC is bringing in way more money than boxing right now. Just the UFC alone. I'm not talking about the UFC, Bellator, fucking ONE FC. Because if we're just talking about, if we're saying boxing as a sport, then we're not just talking about a Deontay Wilder. We're talking about like all over the world boxing. I think MMA as a sport I think the UFC alone is bringing in more money than boxing around the world. And I'm not talking like kickboxing, I'm just boxing. And they deserve to be paid that way, but you're never going to get solidarity between the fighters because before you can even state your case, the next guy is just like, yep, I'll fight. Oh, you wanna hold off so we all get paid millions of dollars to do this? Nah, I'll fight right now. If you don't want to fight for $300,000, then I'll fight for $200,000. I'll fight. That's just how it is. So we'll never get fair pay. I don't think we'll ever see it in the UFC. It's not how it's set up. It's just not really how it's set up. Because you got the next man. If I can know, basically, as I'm being told, like in the same post that it says that Paulo is out of the fight, it says that Kelvin Gastelum is in the fight. That's how quick this goes. He can't even explain himself. There's still speculation on why he's pulling out of the fight, and they already booked his fucking replacement. We hadn't even known why, and his replacement was there already. So if it works that way, then I don't see any real chance that people are going to get paid fairly. I can see a chance that with him being dominated in his last fight and refusing to fight his last couple fights and now saying he wants more money, I can see Paulo maybe getting cut or just sitting on the shelf, not being able to fight at all, just complaining on social media for years because he's under contract with the UFC and they can do whatever the fuck they want. And he can't legally fight for anybody else. It's just how that is. Last week, I predicted that Augusto Sakai was going to beat the shit out of Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I said Rozenstruik was too simple for someone like Augusto Sakai, but I was absolutely wrong. Jairzinho Rozenstruik knocks Augusto Sakai out with 1 second left in the very first round. Knocks this man out. And so shout out to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. He has fucking nightmares in his hand, and he's not afraid to use them. Things work, man. And he gave Augusto Sakai some nightmares. Put him to sleep, gave him those nightmares. And I don't know. I really have much to say about that fight. But next week, we got UFC 263. I'll likely miss most, if not all of it. I'm predicting that I'll miss all of it. Actually, that's that's my stance. That's where my head's at, is that I'll miss the whole thing. And if I'm able to catch even the last fight, that'd be fucking a surprise to me. I'm expecting to miss this whole thing. I'm going to a wedding next week. Next week Saturday. I thought, I'm gonna be real with you niggas, I thought it was a black wedding. I thought it was a majority black wedding. And I came under the knowledge today that it's not. These are white people getting married, ladies and gentlemen. I thought it was black people getting married. And you might say, what is it? Well, what does it matter? My outfit. My outfit matters. I think I would have gone with something a little different had I known these were the white folk. But I was like, I'm about to walk up in that bitch looking like what's the nigga off Baby Boy? Nigga Ving Rhames, Melvin, looking like Melvin off Baby Boy. You know what I'm saying? But then to find out that it's a wedding of the Watts, it's like, bro, I'm gonna look like a fucking, like a pimp or some shit. Which was not necessarily the look that I was going for. I was looking for that old school Stacey Adams nigga. You know what I'm saying? That old school West Coast player. That old school West Coast player. That's the kind of look your boy was going for. Either way, I'm about to kill these niggas on Saturday. I'm about to kill these niggas on Saturday. Is how I feel with this outfit. But at the same time, I didn't know it was going to be white people. I didn't know it was a white wedding. So, like, since it's a white wedding, I'm like, damn, am I overdressed? You know, is that crazy? Is that because it's a white wedding, I'm concerned that I'll be overdressed. I wasn't concerned when I thought black people were going to be there. I felt like I needed to, you know, just let these niggas know what it was. My pocket squares is downstairs. Yeah, it's one of them days. Got some pocket squares to match my outfit, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, I'm about to get a fancy little... Ooh, they're just showing all the cool little designs, little cool things you could do. I never had the pocket squares in there, but my wife mentioned it. And usually when I go to weddings, I'm sitting there, and if I see a nigga with a pocket square, I'm like, fuck. I ain't even think about that. And then my wife mentioned it, I was like, oh, shit. I ain't even think about that. But the pocket squares is here, my nigga. Pocket squares is here. I got fancy socks. I got cool socks. You're gonna look over, see my socks. You're like, oh, that's a cool ass dude. Nigga, I'm about to kill these niggas at this wedding. And be fresh. Fresh, my nigga. I might even go to the barber shop. And you niggas know how I feel about the motherfucking barber shop. I might even go to the barber shop. This is the barber shop. You know, just to match the whole outfit. I can't be out here. It's like part of me is like, you could just shave yourself. But no, I'll probably end up going to the barber shop. We'll see. We'll see what's happening. But UFC 263, you got Israel Adesanya, the last style bender, taking on Marvin Vettori in a rematch. The belt is on the line this time, and I see Israel Adesanya winning by stoppage. I just don't think... I said this last week about Jairzinho, but I just don't think Marvin Vettori has the skills. I don't think he has what it takes to beat Israel. I think since they've last fight, I think the improvements have been way more on the side of Adesanya than they have been on Vettori. And I think it's to the point where Adesanya will be able to finish Marvin Vettori in the rematch here. I don't think it'll be too competitive. Because I didn't like the way Vettori looked in the stand-up against someone who's pretty sloppy with his stand-up as Kevin Holland, who's just like falling into people as he's striking. His striking doesn't look that good. It's pretty sloppy. And he was like desperation shooting on Kevin Holland. That's what's going to happen here. Desperation shooting on Israel. But I think he's going to meet some uppercuts or some shit, some right hooks, some check hooks. And I think Israel's going to be able to finish him in this one. Then you got Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno 2. They fought the first time on 3 weeks' notice. They fought. Davison defended his belt against somebody. I think Rob Font or somebody. And he won that pretty quickly. Moreno won his fight pretty quickly. So then they booked him for a fight on the pay-per-view 3 weeks later. And that fight was a draw. And now we have the rematch here. Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno 2. I'm going with Davison Figueiredo. He's just a beast, man. I think with a full camp on Brandon Moreno, he's just going to be able to, he's going to be more prepared for just some of the shit that worked against him in the first fight. I think he'll be better prepared with the cardio issues, having a full camp preparing for Brandon Moreno. So I'm going with Davison Figueiredo and still in this rematch with Brandon Moreno. Then you have a 5-round fight with Nate Diaz taking on Leon Edwards for 5 rounds. That's going to be a great fight. Leon Edwards is crazy underrated. He's got fucking great striking, powerful striking. It's not just he touches you. He's got volume striking, but he's got a lot of fucking power. He hurts people when he hits you with that shit. He's powerful and he's got volume. He's got great striking, but Nate's tough. We haven't seen him in a little bit. I don't know, man. I think Leon might be too big for him. I think Leon's a big fucking welterweight. He's a big dude. I think he might be too big for Nate, and he might be able to put it on Nate. And I don't know about finish him, but just be able to dominate the rounds. Get him in a position where Nate has to grapple and try to survive. I think that could be a situation. So I'm going Leon Edwards here for 5 rounds. Interesting enough, in the fight right before is Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad, who his last fight was with Leon Edwards, was ended by eye poke. Edwards poked Bilal Muhammad in the eye in the second round. And then pretty much Edwards just dismissed the idea of a rematch because he was like, I was winning in the first round, so it wasn't going to get better for him. In 5 rounds, you have 4 more rounds, and you're just like, nah, it wasn't going to get better for him. We don't need to fight again. It wasn't going to get better for him. So, that's what, it's weird that they're fighting on the same card after, he's like, nah, we don't need to fight again. But then you guys are both just, able to fight again on the same card. So you could have ran it back with Bilal. But you, for whatever reason, didn't want to. Was he scared? I don't know. Was Leon scared of Bilal? Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. We could say he was because he did it. You know? He was scared. We could say he was scared because he didn't want to fight him again. Until he fights Bilal again, we could say, he was scared. He thought something was going to happen. But we got Bilal versus Damian Maia, and I'm going to go with my boy Bilal. I like Bilal. I picked him to beat Leon, and I'm going to pick him to beat Damian Maia here. I think he's just pretty well-rounded, and he's going to do pretty well in that fight. So that's my pick for UFC. Those are my picks for some of the fights for UFC 263. Let me just look at this card because I was looking at it earlier. I was like, dude, this fucking card is stacked. Fucking stacked. Let's go. Was there another fight on the main card? Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill. They pronounce it Jamal Hill, but it's Jamal Hill is how it's spelled. No losses, 8 wins, 1 no contest for Jamal Hill. Rising prospect. That's going to be a good fight. That's how they're starting the main card. You got Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell on the prelims. Eric Anders versus Darren Stewart. Lauren Murphy versus JoJo Calderwood, nigga. Mozart Avliloev, I'm sorry about his name. He's undefeated fighter. You guys know who he is. Versus Mean Hakeem Dawodu. That's the prelims, nigga. Early prelims. Penny Kianzad versus Alexis Davis, nigga. That's 50 pro fights between the two of them. That's the early prelims. Frank Camacho versus Matt the Steamroller Favola. Then you got Chase Hooper versus Steven Peterson. That's gonna, you got Chase Hooper. You got some fights. What I'm saying here, ladies and gentlemen, you got Carlos Felipe taking on Jack Collier, the first fight of the night. The Carlos Felipe is a pretty good fighter. I like the way he fights. He's pretty mean in there. You got some fights, man. This card is stacked. All right? It's fucking stacked. Oh, this Faris ZM. I think he's like the brother of the guy who trains GSP. So that's happening. Like, yeah. All right. So that card is stacked. It's fucking stacked. It's going to be a good card. I'm probably going to miss the whole thing, but we'll talk about who won and who lost next week. You know what I'm saying? And right now we got, let's talk to you guys about Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Floyd Mayweather weighs in at 155 pounds. Logan Paul weighs in at 189.5 pounds. He's much taller than Floyd, but come on. Floyd is undefeated, greatest boxer of all time. He should go in there and dominate. There's no wins, no losses, apparently. There's no judges for this fight, but the knockouts are allowed. It's weird rules. But, I don't know. We'll see what happens as it gets started here. But, all right, we'll see. Let's watch. I'm not sure what I'm watching. I'm like, let's watch. I'm not sure what I'm watching. Not sure. A lot of hugging. Logan's doing a lot of hugging. He's trying to survive. Earlier in the night, though, we had Chad Johnson. He got knocked down at the end of the fight, but he looked pretty fucking great. He, for the first 2 rounds, at the end of the second round, I tweeted out, I was like, yo, he looks tired. And I knew he was going to get dropped at some point. He got dropped at the end of the fourth round, but at the end of the second, I could see it. His footwork was different. His movement was completely different at the end of the second. I knew he was done. But in the first 2 rounds, thankfully they only put him in there for 4 rounds, but in the first 2 rounds, Chad Johnson looked pretty skillful. They were saying it takes about 5 years to build someone who could fight 10 rounds in boxing, who could actually compose themselves and actually fight and have the cardio for 10 rounds. It takes about 5 years, they said. So Chad Johnson, training with the Charlo brothers, looks pretty good. Looked pretty good in there for the 2 rounds. He's not got the time of what it takes for him to be a 10-round boxer. He said thinks he's ready for Mayweather. That's a money fight. I'll watch it. What are we doing here? I'm watching Floyd Mayweather fight Logan Paul right now. No winner. Why am I watching this? I don't know. A lot of hugging. What round is it? I think it's like the 4th or 5th. I think it might be the 5th round. Yeah, it's 5th round now. Logan's big, man. He's able to touch Floyd with that jab. But Floyd is just coming at him. Floyd's just coming at him. This is, Logan's able to duck away from some of them punches from Floyd, but not all of them. Not all of them. Tell you, he's definitely not. But nigga, you in the ring fighting with Floyd. You winning. Nigga, that'll be my dream. It ain't a dream that I've ever had to be in the ring against Floyd. But fuck, if I made it off YouTube, just doing nonsense videos off YouTube, and then today I'm in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, nigga, I made it. So shout out to Logan for that alone. Nigga, you're boxing Floyd Mayweather with a professional record of 0-1. You're boxing the greatest boxer of all time, undefeated with a record of 50-0. And your record is 0-1. And it's just off of YouTube. Just off of YouTube. Shout out to him for that, man. He definitely, it's like, you're crazy if you think, like, this fight would never be sanctioned if it was like a real fight. There's no judges. There's no judges for this fight. It's just an exhibition. It's just two people just sparring. And the commission lended a referee just because you got to have somebody in there, but especially somebody who knows what they're doing. It's interesting that they have this, speaking of having somebody that knows what they're doing, I see that they have Chuck Liddell is coaching fucking Aaron Carter versus Lamar Odom. This nigga is not a boxer. I guarantee he's not the best person to go in there and referee that or any boxing match. Guarantee he's not the best person. But we'll see what happens. He doesn't do that. He's not a boxer. He's an MMA fighter. It's different rules. I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting, though. Like, Logan, he's just big, you know what I'm saying? He ain't really got no chance, but he's coming with these fucking haymakers and shit, you know what I'm saying? He hugging, trying to put his weight, which is what some of you should do. You should try to, like, put your weight on that person. You came in, like, 40 pounds? He came in 45 pounds heavier than Floyd. You should, at that point, try to clinch. I mean, if it's MMA, try to clinch, do what you can. If you can, do what you can. But, I don't know.